And the other thing is that people start hating themselves because they feel so terrible. And what I think makes a big difference is for people to understand, don't try to instantly get rid of your acne or your eczema because that won't happen. You know this. These are conditions that take time and you can't improve your skin overnight. This whole thing of instantly looking better is rubbish.
Welcome to the Radical Health Rebel podcast. I'm your host, Lee Brandon. This work started for me several decades ago when I started to see the impact I could make on people, helping them to identify the root cause of their health problems that no doctor could figure out, including serious back, knee, shoulder and neck injuries, acne and eczema issues, severe gut health problems, even helping couples get pregnant after several IVF treatments had failed. And it really moves me to be able to help people in this way. And that is why I do what I do and why we have this show. In this episode of the Radical Health Rebel podcast, I'm joined by scientist and skincare formulator Fernanda Da Silva Tatley to dive deep into the world of skincare, particularly when it comes to acne and eczema. Fernanda shares how her background in medical microbiology, her passion for skin health, and her commitment to clean, ethical ingredients have shaped her unique approach. We discuss the misconceptions around skin types, the dangers of toxic skincare products, and why true skin health goes far beyond what you put on the surface. If you're struggling with acne or eczema, or simply want healthier skin, this episode is for you. Fernanda Da Silva Tatley, welcome to the Radical Health Rebel podcast.
Thank you. And it was so interesting to see the numbers. I've almost felt like saying we have a liftoff. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to having a chat to you because you and I have a lot of alignments, but we have differences as well. And so that would be good to have to air up.
Absolutely. So to kick things off, could you share a little bit about your educational and professional background and also what motivated you to start your skincare company?
Okay, so I'm Portuguese by birth, lived in Portugal until I finished school, and then I joined my parents who were at the time in South Africa because my dad, being an engineer, moved with his company wherever they were building dams or bridges, and the work was being done in South Africa in the Orange River. I ended up going to Cape Town University where I did a BSc in zoology, and then later I gravitated to medical biochemistry, and I ended up doing a PhD in medical molecular microbiology. And the focus at the time was really to look at the virulence of bacteria in our body and how our immune system responded to them. And then the work that I was doing together with a few other people was funded by an organization in the UK. Then it was called Glaxo Wellcome in Stevenage. They're now just called Glaxo. And so from Stevenage, they funded work that was done in South Africa, in the US, in Ireland, in the UK, in Canada, and we're all working towards a common goal, which was to find out as much as we could about the virulence of tuberculosis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, because it was so prevalent in South Africa. And bear in mind that we had the issue with AIDS at the same time. So if you have AIDS, you're likely to get TB, and you probably have endemic TB anyway. And after that, because I made so many connections globally, it's led to my work being sort of known in New Zealand, and I was asked to join a group in Dunedin at Otago University where we were looking at the virulence of a different pathogen with the same kind of idea to try and understand bacteria so we could better manage therapeutics or diagnostics. And that group then started a biotech company, which became a company focused on cancer diagnostics. And I stayed with them for a few years. So I'm combining my medical microbiology virulence focus with cancer. And And because of my own interest in the microbiome of the epithelium, then skin became a very sort of focused area of my interest. And so this was now sort of early 2000s. I started feeling a little bit agitated that I was doing all of this research and I wanted to see something more translational and not so much in developing complicated technology, but using something simpler to try and help people. And this idea started when I was still in Cape Town. I was doing my PhD and I wanted to use my knowledge to develop skincare that was not cosmetic. It was really to look after skin, to make you feel good, being very mindful of how you use ingredients for the skin, how you harvest the ingredient because you don't want to destroy the environment. And being mindful of what else you put on your skin, because at that stage and still today, there's so much emphasis of becoming more and more technologically dependent. And we end up using all these little molecular technology tools into our products, and we don't really know the long-term effects of everything that we use. And I kind of didn't like that. I also admired Anita Roderick that started the Body Shop. She was one of my idols, a real firecracker of a person. And so I had this idea then, it was in the sort of like late 80s, to do a similar thing, but more not so involved in trade aid because I didn't have the connections, but being very simple in the approach. And then I felt quite constrained because of what else was happening in South Africa. And one thing you'll realize, I'm a very gut feel person and I'm a very heart person. So I couldn't think of developing skincare when there were people in South Africa dying of hunger. Politically, there was so much happening. I just felt so guilty. I just couldn't. And so I carried on working on TB because that was sort of seemed more important. And I forgot about my company. I kind of shut it down. When I was now in New Zealand and sort of all that pressure and, of course, then Mandela got released and South Africa changed quite a lot. Still very complicated scenario. I ended up thinking, so here I am in a biotech company. I'm still doing all these very high-tech stuff that are really not kind of aligned with me. Maybe this is my time to start the company. So that's what I did. I launched in 2010. I launched with the idea to have just a small number of products which could be used regardless of the skin type. I'm coming back to this because for many years, there was a kind of a resistance from the market. Oh, no, that can't be right because my skin is dry. I can't use products for oily skin because my skin is dry. And I was saying, no. It's the same ingredients. It's how we use the products. Essentially, you can use the same constituents, but we might use them in a different day, slightly different routines. But I just couldn't crack the fact that in the market, the more you sell, by forcing people to use a lot and also by diversifying product ranges, people get very attached to what their skin types are. And so I changed as well. I thought, okay, I'll go along with that. And it still didn't resonate. So in the more recent times, I thought, ditch the principle. Let's go back to what it was before. Yes, I've developed a lot of products because I can. Making formulations is not a problem. Marketing and formulations is an entirely different story. Going back to the concept where you have a good moisturizer, you have a good cleanser, and you have a sunscreen, because that is important, especially for people like yourself. You're very fair. But even people like myself with a darker skin, we still need to be protected. And even people that are more pigmented, with darker skins. So coming back to this, what I've realized with all this transition is that although for a few years I went astray from my concept, I'm back to it. And it's very important to stay true to one's values. And the irony of the whole thing is that now we have scientific evidence to show that ingredients for oily skin do work for dry skin and vice versa. Now, how good is that? I just knew that from a gut feel. There was no evidence then, but now there is. So I feel kind of not as sort of a person saying, oh, I'm vindicated, but I feel so excited. I feel so excited that after all, I wasn't that wrong. But of course, it is very, very hard to market skincare in the market that we are in now. And for me, it's not so much about selling skincare, but it's more about educating people. Doesn't matter what you use, whether you use olive oil, macadamia oil, coconut oil, or a blend of the lot. Understand why you need it. And don't put rubbish on your skin, because your skin, although it's a barrier, it's a semi-permeable barrier. And everything gets taken up. Some things get deposited in our reproductive organs, others get deposited in our excretory organs, and we still don't know the long-term consequences. And you probably see some of the consequences of those, of people abusing things, not knowing, just because it was a fashion trend, or, they saw an ad on TV or whatever. So that's a sort of like in a nutshell, how I came back to this.
But why skin? What was the motivation? Like, you could have focused on lots of different things. Why was skin the thing that you focused on?
So skin is very visible. And one of the things that certainly from myself, my parents were always very concerned that I had to look good, and very concerned that, you have to look after yourself. And if you don't, you start feeling a little bit unhappy because you don't look as good as actually you probably look, but you start assimilating talk that you don't need. You start assimilating the fact that someone is better looking than yourself. We're all good looking. We're just different. I understood at that point, when I was in my 40s, I understood that it wasn't about beauty being the classical beauty. Like in the UK, you had the classical beauty of someone like Princess Diana. She's a beautiful girl. But actually, there's some people that don't have nice features, but they're beautiful in themselves. And the skin reflects all of that if you allow yourself. So in treating your skin, making sure that you don't have any conditions that make you feel embarrassed and make you withdraw into a shell. You feel good. When you feel good, someone will say to you, Hayley, you're looking fantastic today. Even if you're dead tired, if someone says to you, looking fantastic, what do? You smile. What happens when you smile? There's messages that go back to your brain, and endorphins start getting released, and the other families of these molecules that are like our natural opiates that give you a lift. Your serotonin, starts flowing. You feel better. And immediately the tension in your face subsides. So you look better. So you've just done yourself this good service, even though you haven't done anything special. But the other thing is that the skin is a very important organ, and of course, all organs are important. The skin is the biggest, is all over our body. So if you compromise this barrier, the semi-permeable barrier that has a very specific microbiome that is unique to each person and contributes to the health of our skin, if you compromise that, you compromise the health of your body, of your heart, your brain, your nerves. So it's a no-brainer to look at the skin. And we just take it for granted because we don't think. We all think, I have to look after my heart, my cardio sort of health needs to be there. Oh, my brain, I need to have my ginkgo biloba so I don't get Alzheimer's. But actually, how about, and I'm going to say this, and I'm really serious, this is not funny, how about making love to your skin? I'm not saying having sex with your skin, but treat your skin with gentleness. So you appreciate the touch. Touch is so important, and so is self-touch. Just feel empowered. Feel like the goddess that you can be, or the god that you can be, not in a religious sense, but in an empowered way. To look after yourself, we should be doing that. We should be doing that, not wars across the world. Sorry, I just had to bring that in so people hear. If we talk, if we care for each other, Doesn't matter how different we are or that we don't like each other, but we can talk, we can communicate, and something resonates. There's an energy about people that comes through communicating, and touching is a good one. Respectfully. I don't mean being odd, but just suddenly thought, what people could be thinking I was saying. But it's respecting others, respect yourself, look after yourself. It's like when you're in an airplane and you see the advert or the movie that says you need to put a mask on before somebody else's if the plane depressurizes. That's exactly it. Look after yourself, look after your skin. That gives you peace of mind, and be present. You're great. You're a god. You're a goddess. You're fantastic. There's no need for anger. There's no need for feeling frustrated.
Yeah. So just to summarize your answer to the question, why are you focusing on skin? So what I've understood from what you've said is, first of all, from a young age, you were kind of encouraged to, let's just say, optimize your looks. But then from that, the reason why you've kind of gone down the route of skincare is because, from what you were saying, if your skin looks good, it helps you to feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, what I see, obviously working with people with things like acne and eczema, you were saying people forget their skin, but you don't forget it if you've got a problem with it. In fact, it's the opposite, right? It almost becomes like an obsession that all you ever think about is how your skin looks because it's making you feel bad, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is that people start hating themselves because they feel so terrible. And what I think makes a big difference is for people to understand, don't try to instantly get rid of your acne or your eczema because that won't happen. You know this. These are conditions that take time and you can't improve your skin overnight. This whole thing of instantly looking better is rubbish. It doesn't. It takes 4 weeks for the cell to regenerate if you're healthy and young. As you get older, it takes longer. But what I have found that really helps, and I've done this with many people, I always have a conversation with them when we're talking about skincare products. And I say to them, look, you've got an issue, say acne in the chin. Love your acne. And they sort of, what do you mean love my? Treat it with care. You're going to treat it. You're going to be applying something or you're going to be eating something to make sure that your body, because that's the other thing. It's not just looking on the outside. You have to have correct diet and hydration. But don't try and hurt your acne. Love your acne. Even when you cleanse your face, even when there are times when you have these awful pustules, love it. I understand that some people, because of the condition or the professional requirements, they have to cover their acne. But wherever they can, it would be so much better if they could allow the skin not to be covered. And if you love your acne, treat it, to keep it clean, to keep it disinfected. What happens in the end is that your skin is reacting to the energy that you put in. I know this sounds like hocus pocus, but it's the same thing as if you speak to your plants, they will bloom. And it's part of what I understood so importantly, because we haven't talked about this. I became a Reiki master as well. So here I am. I'm a scientist by training. I'm an artist in my heart because I like everything. I like to create. And in my soul, I'm a Reiki master. Now, becoming a Reiki master showed me how important it is to have patience and to have self-love. Often people that are so affected because they want to itch, they just want to scratch, and they can't. Obviously, the more they scratch, the worse it will go. They hate themselves so much. And I've taught so many people, love yourself. And it takes time and it takes quite a bit of a mindset to see that, but it helps. So it's not just one thing. You make sure that you look after yourself. You have a good diet, good exercise. Make a conscious choice that you're going to look after yourself properly, not hate. The feeling of hate carries an energy in our body that is totally unnecessary. And I know it doesn't ring right for people that are very physically minded. But think about it. I'm a scientist by training, and I have seen the difference of people making the transition. So someone will say to me, oh, rubbish, that's placebo. Okay. So what if it is placebo? If it works? Who the heck cares? Is it so bad that it worked for someone? And then they become proud in the sense of being so internally loved that they become a yardstick for others. And they help others. And in helping others, they help themselves. So I'm very much one of those people that, I'm talking to you. I'm not expecting to get anything back from you because I know the universe will get me something in other ways. And the other thing is, I've had the grandmother and the grandfather of a day in terms of things not going well. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to make the podcast on time? Oh my God. And I just thought, just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Everything is fine. You'll learn this with getting older. Look, I'm much older than you. So I suppose, I've learned a few things maybe when I was 30. I didn't think like this. But I now do. I don't have an issue with dying, When I die, In fact, there's an interesting thing. People will probably think I'm nuts, but I see life as a disease and death is a cure. So if you want to cure all your issues, we have a cure.
Yeah, and there's lots of governments that are making it easier, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yes, no, it's a different story if something happens just as a gradual process of life, but not if it is imposed on you.
Yeah. Just going back to one of the things you mentioned earlier, you were saying it's one thing creating products, it's another thing marketing them. Now, I do spend time on Facebook groups where there are people with skin conditions. And I would say 100% of the people who reach out on those groups for help are in the mindset that the only solution for their skin problems is a product, right? And also linked with that, the companies of the products that they're using market their products by focusing on the insecurities of people, right? And what I also see is that the products that they are using or suggesting that they use are only causing harm to their skin, right? What's your? I mean, there's a couple of different subjects there, but what's your kind of view on those? Litsa, a 30-year-old professional, suffered from severe acne and scarring. She felt hopeless and worried her partner might leave her because of her skin. Testing revealed she had toxoplasma and food sensitivities to gluten and soy. Litsa fully committed to her program, following every recommendation, diet changes, infrared saunas, and essential oils. The results were life-changing. Her skin cleared, her confidence soared, and she married a partner and started a family. If you're struggling with acne, don't wait. Visit www.eliminateadultacne.com to schedule your acne breakthrough call and take the first step towards clear, confident skin.
Look, taking your first point, preying on the insecurity, that is so true because it's the easiest way. Say you go to a counter and cosmetic counter and you're going to buy something. The people are trained to say, oh, you've got some pigmentation there. This is an excellent product to get rid of pigmentation. And they cost, invariably not cheap. So you spend a whole lot of money and the pigmentation doesn't go, and you come back. Well, it's because you actually have to do something else, but you're hooked because you are definitely taken down a road. The other thing that happens is that then someone will convince you the product will work better if you use it in conjunction with something that is the latest that has been developed. They're marketing facets, and people are wanting to take that. People are not in the mindset to question. And now the reason why I want to mention this is because many, many years ago, I used to use a very reputable company for skincare, and they would offer me every year to have a special person that would come and give me an overview of my skin condition. And they had this new machine that, they put my skin, put it over my skin, and it tells me the degree of hydration and where things are going wrong and aging, etc. And every year, I would go to these things and they would tell me how bad my skin is. And this happened twice. And then I thought, hang on a minute. So why am I buying their products and my skin is not doing well? So the next one I said to them, look, so with all due respect to you, but I'm using your products. I've used them for a long time. And now you tell me that despite using your products that are supposed to be protecting my skin from ABC, I'm getting worse. So maybe I shouldn't buy your products at all. And there was absolute stunning silence. Oh, no, but it is improving from last year. Too late. I stopped buying anything that I didn't make. So you get convinced and you want to. The thing is, people say, I don't have time to go and talk or see someone about my skin. How many words have you used? I don't have time to do. So you've wasted now 2 minutes. Wouldn't it be better to come to someone like yourself or come to me and say, what would you say is the basic fundamental requirement to look after skin? And can I have it instantly? And I only want to do it once a day. And I'll say to them, okay, fine, great. I'll give you an instant regime, just like we're going to have an instant diet. So get your breakfast and your lunch and your dinner, put it in the blender. Now you have it once a day. How's that for good nutrition? We can do the same thing for skincare. We put the cleanser and the cream and the sunscreen at the same time, same thing, and do it once a day. And people get it. But you've got to shock them because they're so brainwashed into believing. And the other thing is, people like to dream. It's so wonderful to look at an idol. You see a movie star or you see someone in social media and you want to look like them. So they will want to buy, but they recommend, there's this concealer. I have tried so many different types of things just to see how they work, regardless of the dispensing methods or the composition. Cosmetic is a cosmetic, does the same. You are aging from the time you are conceived. So the only time we don't age, there's an interesting biological process that happens to the sperm and to the ovum. There's an arrest of aging because they're designed to conceive, to make that egg that becomes a little person. But from the moment the egg starts multiplying, aging is happening. But of course, we don't see it because the baby is a kid, they're not aging. Yes, they are because we're growing. But there's regeneration as well. So because we are contending with all these ongoing biological processes, if we understood that looking the way we do when we're 30 versus when we're 60 is absolutely fine, they're just stages of our lives, as long as we understand that we don't have to go to the doctor unless something really goes wrong. I can look after what I need to do. Yes, maybe if I've got an ingrown toenail, I'll have to go and see a podiatrist because, I wouldn't touch anything like that. But if we responsibly make a choice things that we can do to look after ourselves. And sometimes it's very simple. How about smoking? Smoking is not good because you're putting poisons in your lungs. I mean, go figure. But if you really want to have something, please just do it very irregularly. Am I against drinking? No, but drink responsibly. The Mediterranean people, so I'm Portuguese by birth, and we were all raised with a sort of Mediterranean style diet. Kids are encouraged to learn what wine, albeit tastes like when we're small. But it's all in tiny amounts. So by the time you're an adult, you understand they are parts of your meal to enjoy, to have something fun. It's not to abuse. But because we feel so, you see, this comes back to this, we feel so bad. Oh, I'm a teenager and I'm looking ugly and, that person, my idol, looks so good. I want to look like her. I'm going to get something quick to make me feel good. Here come the substances that get abused. And it comes down to not being supported, understanding to being loved. So one of the things that I want to achieve with my skincare idea, but I don't know if I'll get there, because it needs a lot of capital. I'd love to have a kind of a foundation to help young people to really understand what it is to feel good, not to do research and to publish papers and to have lots of publications, but for people to come and understand little things about themselves, learn about little things, learn that you don't have to be bullied. Or if you're bullied, shake it off. Don't buy into the hook. Bullying on the internet is disgusting. And so many kids do self-harm just because they feel terrible. Isn't it time we stopped that? We're so evolved. We're so sophisticated. And we kill people with wars and we kill people with bullying, with words. We kill with the W, with war and with words, hey?
Lisa came to see me looking for a solution to her long-standing eczema, which had been frustrating her for years. Despite trying countless creams and treatments prescribed by her doctor, nothing seemed to help. Together, we reviewed her test results, addressed her concerns, and set clear, achievable goals for her health. With my ongoing support and personalized guidance, Lisa saw significant improvement in her eczema. As her skin cleared up, her confidence grew, and she began feeling better, not just physically, but mentally too. If you're struggling with a chronic condition like eczema and you're ready to take control of your health, I can help. If we're a good fit, we'll work together to make your health goals a reality. Reach out today for a consultation at www.bodycheck.co.uk and let's start your journey to better health.
I would love to be able to do that, but it takes a lot of capital.
Just going back to, the thing that I see a lot online is that people, their assumption is I've got a skin problem, therefore the only solution is to put something on my skin. So what you mentioned earlier, so you mentioned diet earlier, but obviously, lifestyle, diet, stress.
Yep.
They all have an effect, don't they, on our skin, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. Significant effect. And this is because comes back to the way our bodies are made up. So our brain, like I was saying, releasing endorphins. These are some of the molecules that people will know about them if they run. They get the runner's high, effectively, feeling good, or you do exercise. It's the same thing. But we have the hypothalamus and the pituitary, little sort of components of our brain. They're responsible for getting little molecules released when we are not well, when we stress. These molecules go from the brain all the way circulating in our body, and they land on the little glands over the kidneys, the adrenals, and the adrenals release cortisol. Now, it's good to have some cortisol because it kind of gives you a jolt. It's like adrenaline. You've got to be aware something is happening. Be mindful. Okay. But what happens is if you have too much of it, you're continuously on this over-exceeding level of response. But what is interesting as well is, so you have the response from the adrenals producing the cortisol, and it's circulating in our body. But do you know that our skin produces cortisol as well? So you're now adding to the picture. And instead of stopping and giving yourself a moment to think where you're telling your brain, yes, I am stressed, but I'm going to sit down and I'm going to breathe from my groin all the way, not from the top of my shoulders. You're not panting. You don't want to pant. Sit down. Do nothing. Breathe from your groin. When you do that, the mere fact that you are sitting down or even standing and you are forcing the movement to go in a different direction and expanding your lungs, getting more oxygen, and you get a flow in a different way, all these cortisol molecules are vibrating less. They get kind of compensated by molecules that the brain will release, and incidentally by oxytocin as well, which makes you feel better, relaxes you. So in doing that, you will feel better and you look better. You know what happens when you feel stressed? Often you feel kind of tense and you kind of go red because you get vasodilation, and so blood is more easily sort of seen under the skin. But if you sit down, you calm down, you are forcing your capillaries just to constrict. So what do you need to do? Drink some water. Drink a glass of water and continue breathing. Do it for a few minutes, 4 minutes. If you can do more, it's fine. Then start moving your toes or moving your hands to force circulation, so waste byproducts from all these tensing processes that get into our body start being leveraged off, and they go out into the kidneys and the liver, and they get excreted out. So you've had some water, go and have something to eat that will give you some sugar, because your brain will need sugar, but you don't want to have sugar dependency. So you have a combination of your carbohydrates with some protein and with some lipids. And you can, like for instance, I'm a vegetarian. You don't have to eat animals to have these things. You can eat just a plant-based diet. And that will give you some energy, so you reset your brain and gives you some energy as well for your body to start dealing with all the stuff going on. But it's not instant. This happens today, and you still feel tense in an hour's time. Keep breathing. Keep drinking water. Yes, it means you will have to pass more water. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But just keep doing. And you start changing the way in which you respond to stress. And you'll start recognizing, oh, actually, when I eat some fruit or I have a salad, I actually feel so much lighter. Why? Because those foods also happen to have quite a lot of water. They also have quite a lot of antioxidants that help the cells to move the waste byproducts. Where topical products, can be useful if you want to really address specific issues, like think of the collagen and the elastin that's on our skin, and it breaks down all the time. And one of the ingredients, which I think is amazing, it's bakuchiol, which is the plant equivalent of retinol. Bakuchiol has so many actions, but it inhibits the enzymes that break down the collagen and elastin. So if you have products that have bakuchiol and you are applying them, and if you have a diet that is rich in the antioxidants, in the water, so you have a mixture of your green vegetables with your reds and you have your citrus. So all of those are going from inside and you are helping from the outside. you are improving the condition of your skin. But it takes time for these ingredients to go in, even though it feels like, oh, I don't have anything on my skin, must be going in. Yes, but your skin is complex. So there's no guarantees that it will go to the right area. So you have to keep applying. But you're doing it in such a way, it's like breathing. You're not aware that you breathe because it's an unconscious kind of process. So slow down. Be mindful of how you're breathing, because when you do that, you're helping your body to focus on you. But I have to quickly go do this and I have to fix up. 2 minutes, all it takes. Every couple of an hour or a couple of hours, 1 or 2 hours, just 2 minutes. If people did that to help themselves, they would be more relaxed, and actually they'll have a little bit more humor. They'll be able to see that there's a lot of messages around them that just don't make sense. So diet, yes. Water, yes. But you don't have to be a saint. You don't have to be a goody two-shoes. Make a choice. Go and select foods that you would know are good for you. You wouldn't just eat bananas, would you? Or strawberries? Or pineapples? I know that there's been a pineapple diet, which is sort of like gad, crazy. Or like Steve Jobs, for years, he went through the phase of just eating apples, hence apple, like eating an apple. But no, you don't do that. You have a balanced diet. Your lifestyle needs to be balanced. Yes, sometimes we have more stress than others, but know how you respond to stress. And when you feel you're getting more stressed, go and do something that you know de-stresses you.
Yeah.
It's a different story when you're in a war zone. I totally get it. It's a different story when you have a kid that's sick. But even if you just embrace what you're doing with someone to help them, you're doing something.
Yeah. So what we've kind of, I guess, covered so far is, yes, it's important what you put on your skin, but it's as important, if not more important, what you put on your skin, but also how you respond to your environment in terms of how you manage stress as well, because, stress has an effect on the hormonal system. Every system in our body is linked to every other system. You can't separate them.
Yeah. It's the same circulation.
Yeah, one of my teachers suggests that if it's on your skin, you're drinking it, right? As you alluded to earlier, our skin is semi-permeable. We absorb
Semi-permeable, yeah.
what we put on our skin. And this is one of the messages I try to get across to people in these social media groups who are kind of saying, oh, I've just started using this product. It's not working. I've started using this product and now I'm getting these symptoms. And, I spend most of my time really trying to get across the same message. If you're putting toxins on your skin to solve a problem that's caused by toxins on the inside of your skin, it's not really going to get the job done. And secondly, it doesn't actually treat the root cause of the problem. So, what you're saying about nutrition, hydration, de-stressing, sleep is another really important factor because, our tissues only recover when we're asleep and good quality sleep as well. So whilst I try to change people's mindset away from let's stop just putting toxic things on your skin or even taking toxic pharmaceuticals to mask the symptoms, let's call it that. The other aspect for me is that what you put on your skin, putting things on your skin to improve your skin, for me is like the cherry on top of the cake. So you're dealing with the inside and the outside. But the crucial thing is whatever you put on your skin, make sure it's not toxic, because all you're doing, even if the things do suppress the symptoms, and quite often from my experience, they don't, if they do suppress the symptoms, you're just kicking the problem down the road. Did you know that 92% of people fail to follow through on their New Year's resolutions? That's right. Year after year, most of us start strong and then lose momentum by February. Sound familiar? But what if this year could be different? What if you finally had the tools to make your goals stick? Introducing Stickability, a simple, effective, and affordable program designed to help you overcome the cycle of failed resolutions. In just a short time, you'll learn how to create lasting habits without wasting hours or breaking the bank. This isn't just another plan. It's the solution to finally sticking to your healthy lifestyle goals. Don't let this year be like the last. Head over to stickabilitycourse.com now to enroll. It's affordable, easy to follow, and packed with tools to make 2025 the year that you have the ability to make it stick.
Yes. The other thing is people don't realize sometimes the toxins actually don't harm the skin at all, don't do anything for the skin, don't irritate, but they go into the circulatory system and they continue in our body until they find a little nook. Often these molecules don't get excreted easily. They're quite complexly charged and they just adhere to areas. And this is what we don't understand. So when later on in your life you develop some form of inflammation or some malignancy, and there's no indication in the family why this should be, it's chance. Maybe it's chance, but maybe it's also as a result of an accumulation of some exposure which you weren't conscious of. So the rule of thumb should be put as little on that you don't know about. You wouldn't go out of your way to eat hemlock, would you? So, or some sort of plant that gives you urticaria or something like that. So to the same thing with skincare product. But the irony of these things with skincare, people, like I've said to you, raise the fact that, it's all placebo. The irony is a lot of these products, the ingredients that are supposedly going to be giving rise to a modification, to an improvement on the skin, don't even get to where they need to. And there is a placebo effect because people believe that their skin has improved. But there's always those where nothing happens. So if nothing happens, if your skin has not improved, and by the way, sometimes the skin with some products deteriorates and then improves. That can happen. But if it doesn't improve at all, it's just kind of lingers and lingers. Isn't that telling you that you're doing something that is not helping you? It's like you've got a bump on your head, and I'll just bump my head on the wall, just to get a bump on the other side. It's not helping the fact that you've got a bump on your head. So if something is not changing, why do you keep doing the same thing? So you've got to take cognizance, but it comes down to this, having a little bit of confidence to say, well, do I need to just believe what someone says? Oh, but I don't know enough. I don't have enough knowledge. For goodness sake, with all the information out there, we can ask. And when in doubt, just use something simple. I recently got a new customer, and this person amazed me because she said she used to use some herbalist products, and this person no longer does them. And she looked at so many organic products, but they still have so much stuff that she wouldn't use. And she's found us. And of course, we're not ranked on the first Google page and whatever. So she was grateful. And I suddenly thought, how many people are there that, like this person, would want to have something that is simpler? But you see, she had the volition to keep going. She saw these products that she thought don't want to. So she kept going until maybe it was page 3 or 4 that she found us. But it's such a pity that people are now so busy and they're telling you that they're so busy they can't think. They haven't got the desire, because it's a choice. You can make a choice. okay, I'm busy, I'll stop now. And I'm going to find something that I want. But we're so roped by the social media wave that is, everything is instant. I saw a video the other day about Google Ads and, everything explained in 10 minutes. And this person was going on about that, it has to have this hook, because then you instantly get people. See, there you are. You instantly get people, but are they getting what they need? They probably aren't. And you see the cases where, it's not working. And the thing is, do share with people. The longer they expose their skin to things that are not working, the longer it takes to reverse what isn't working.
Yeah, I mean, I went through 18 years of putting things on my skin that wasn't working and was making it worse.
Yeah, but it's, so you've got to make a decision and start from scratch. Even go really simple. Just even if you're going through the but my skin looks awful. No, your skin is going through a phase. It's as long as it's not making you want to scratch all the time, because that's very unfortunate. It's treatable, but it takes time.
Yeah. So just going back to, what we both see is there's a lot of people out there, they're putting things on their skin. Quite often it's toxic. Quite often it's carcinogenic. What would
Yes.
be some kind of ideal nutrients, ingredients that should be in skincare products in your opinion?
I always go back to the oil blends that have the essential fatty acids that we need for good cellular function. And I know I'm going to mention some nutty oils and, there are issues. Some people can't take nuts, but, so just bear with me. Macadamia oil, coconut oil, and I'll put the seeds slightly apart. Jojoba are very good oils that have fatty acid composition very similar to our lipid bilayers. So if you don't want to wear any skincare, you could literally get some of these oils from the supermarket. And even if you just go, say with the three of them, coconut oil, macadamia oil, and jojoba, just a tablespoon of each, blend them up and apply to the skin. Yes, it'll feel slightly oily, but it will disappear. Oh, and by the way, olive oil is very good as well, but it does leave a funny scent on your skin. Now, the most important component of olive oil that benefits the skin is something called squalene. Unfortunately, when you buy the olive oil, you don't know how to extract squalene. I don't know either. I have to buy squalene separately. So this is why I'm not advocating that you use olive oil. But if you are allergic to nuts, so we have macadamia nut and we have coconut, then you can use the oils from the seeds, flax seeds, and you can use borage seed. They don't smell particularly good, but they provide that barrier that is important. They also are composed of fatty acids that have the omega-6s and the omega-9s in the right ratio. I would not use corn oil. Corn oil has 40 times more omega-6s than what we need. Sunflower oil, yes, it's fine. But you'll feel it's quite a funny smell as well. So if you want to look at sort of very fundamental things that you can get in the supermarket, that's fine. Now, where a skincare product, a cream, which is an emulsion, wins over just having oils, is that they're made up of waxes that are less absorbed in your skin. So if you put the oils on your skin, the oils will go in deeply at different rates, depending on the oil, whether it is saturated, polyunsaturated, etc. It's different rates. But these waxes that form the emulsifiers, and there are some natural approved emulsifiers that are derived from olive oil, they're absolutely fine. There are synthetic emulsifiers that you don't want to use. But if you have those waxes, the value of the wax, I'll suggest the wax in a minute. Let me just explain. The value of the wax is this, that because they're bulky molecules, they maintain a layer on top and help to prevent dehydration. If you just apply the oils, you have to keep applying because they will be absorbed. So that's the flip side. Someone with eczema, sometimes they might have to kind of get rid of that very crusty, uncomfortable layer. And I wouldn't use major exfoliators. There's a very simple way to deal with that. If they're not allergic to oats, make a mixture of oats, and if they're not allergic to yogurt or dairy products, make a mixture of the two and use and add a little bit of coarse salt. Just a little, just a pinch. So you're making a paste, like a very stodgy porridge. And you rub that, it hydrates the skin. The oats have a molecule that is avin that helps to slough off, and the salt helps to peel away. So simple things like that, if they don't want to go for any other sort of components. Now, this wax that I was going to tell you about, for people that need to really have a layer on top, there is something that you can get, not at the supermarket, but it's available on the internet. It's candelilla wax. Candelilla wax is very hard and it's very protective. It's from cactus in the desert. It's from Mexico and sort of New Mexico, those areas in the US. And you can just rub a layer on top, sort of like you spread, and then you massage it. It's much more waterproofing than the oils. But it helps to have the crusts of the eczema relieved. Now, a disclaimer here. For people that are super, super, super sensitive, this is the irony of the whole thing. Sometimes they need the ingredients that are made from petroleum products, because the petroleum products, like the Vaselines, the natural petrol Vaselines, do not have any effect on the skin. So they're completely inert. But they provide a kind of like a layer of lard. And sometimes for those people, that's where they need to go. And that's the basis of using the pharmacy water cream, the Eucerines. That's the principle. It's a petrochemical because it does not stimulate the skin at all. So the immune system doesn't respond. Whereas if you have something like an oil that is from a seed or from a nut, will have the fatty acids, but will also have phytosterols, which are very similar to our steroid molecules. And so our immune system thinks, oh, there's something here. It's okay. But if you're super sensitive, sometimes it's not a good idea. So everything needs to be taken into consideration. So now you can see why I balance science and soul.
What about, what about tallow? Because that's used a lot, I see now, in skin products.
Yes. So tallow. So because I'm a vegetarian, I can't use it. But candelilla wax is the equivalent for me. So it's a very dense, I suppose, it's like a wax. It's almost like it's a fat cartilage type of substance, because that's what it is. It's, holding our skeletal muscle in structure so our muscles don't flop over. It's, tendons have some of it, and because there's so much from the abattoirs, that's where that comes. But I won't use it just on principle because I don't eat animals. So for those people that don't want to eat animals and they don't want tallow, candelilla wax.
In terms of your products, do you want to talk just a little bit about your products and why they're different from other products?
So first of all, I'm very particular with the source of the ingredients, the oils or the waxes, the emulsifiers. And everyone says they are, that's good. I will blend the oils that are part of the oily component to have the ratio of all the fatty acids and the phytosterols that we need. I don't use fractionated oils. So what the synthetic oils, effectively what they are, is to have olive oil broken apart into all of its components, because the components become odorless, and then they can make products with whatever scent they want. I prefer to use the proper oils, which means there is an odor associated with the product. I do use preservatives that are approved. The preservatives that are approved are a derivative of the fruits from the rowan trees. That's what sorbate is. So it's now made in the lab, but it's still according to the same chemical formulation, and everything is chemical. I've now gone completely no essential oils at all. Did start with essential oils because some essential oils relax you. But there's so much abuse of essential oils that people feel that, that's a fragrance. Well, it's not. But because of confusions, I've totally stopped using essential oils. So it means the products have a smell of sometime of the oil, sometime of the extract, but they're not perfumed in any way. The preservative, the dihydroacetic acid and the sorbate have a slight sort of almondy scent, and that's what you've got to contend. I don't mask. And I make them so that so we have a sort of a group of products that are basic, essential for someone wanting to look after their skin. And then I have the richer day and night cream for those that want to be one step up. But if you want to start just with something simple, that it's a gentle daily moisturizer, you can use it in the morning, you can use it in the evening. Just go simple. Make sure that you've cleaned your face properly. You can use a cleanser. We do have cleansers that they don't have any foaming agents, because the foam, and when you create foam, it takes oxygen from your skin, and it takes then hydrogen as well, and dehydrates your skin. That's why you get a kind of a pooled state when you're washing with some detergent or soap. So we don't have any of those. We're just using the oil. The oils sometimes are surfactants, like coconut oil is an excellent surfactant. But if you don't want to use that, actually you don't need to. You can use a face cloth with warm tepid water, and you wipe your face repeatedly. Yes, it does take time. It's not one wipe. Sometimes could be 10 or 12 wipes. But at the end, when you pat it, your skin is clean. The coarseness of the face cloth has also helped to dislodge some of the cells that are at the top of the skin that are ready to come off. And then you wash your face cloth, dry it for the next day, ready. Going back to simple things. If you apply makeup, you have to clean your face at the end of the day. Never go to bed with makeup, ever. And especially if you've got some breakouts, they've got to remove them. The other thing, and this is not so much part of the skincare, but just talking about breakouts. If you want to ensure that the breakout is well looked after, there is something that I've got an article that I haven't released yet. It's in my drafts folder. The hand sanitizer, like we've all got used to using a hand sanitizer during COVID. Put a drop of the hand sanitizer on a cotton bud. So it's got a mixture of alcohol and disinfectants. And then you put the cotton bud just on top of that white head, the sort of inflamed area. Just do it once. And then if you want to do another one, take the other side of the cotton bud, clean, and you do another one. So never cross-infect from one to the other. And wait 24 hours, do it again the next day. And you can do it up to about 3 times. Sometimes that just helps to have some very inflamed areas to go down. And the reason why the disinfectant and the alcohol is very useful at controlling the growth of the bacteria that are kind of going anaerobic and they're going wild. And the pus, it's because your immune system is sending macrophages and white blood cells to go and eat them, and they're having a bit of a fight. They're dying. And sometimes the alcohol and the disinfectant in those hand sanitizers just helps to clear. Please do not apply over your face. It's just on the spot. And apart from that, if you want something that is really deeper, we're about to launch our bakuchiol serum. It's an amazing serum, both as an anti-aging, well, not so much anti-aging, but to keep your, because this is a funny anti-aging, but to keep your skin looking as good as you can as you are maturing, as well as to help regulate the oil content in your glands, in your sebaceous glands. So it's good. This is an example, good for oily skins, and it's good for dry skins, aging skins. But it's coming. We're waiting for our bottles. It's the first product that we're making with silk screen on the bottles, because we don't use packaging. We use face cloth as packaging. And we wanted not to have a label on the bottles. So a glass bottle is fully recyclable. And we've been waiting. They're coming. We've been waiting for them to arrive. Anyway, but very simple. And you can have 20 products, but you can do everything with 2 or 3.
One of the things you mentioned was a sunscreen. Now, obviously, the thing that I would advise people to do is to not put sunscreen on before they go out into the sun. I think it's very important to get some direct sunlight for maybe 10, 15 minutes before you put anything on, because obviously vitamin D is very important and you don't want to block that process.
Yeah. Yes. So I wouldn't worry too much, because within an hour, the sunscreen is gone. So if you use sunscreen, you actually need to apply it every hour, regardless of the SPF. And that is because some is absorbed, some falls off because of the wind or perspiration, and some gets rubbed off. But the other thing is that, especially with skins with breakouts and acne, the only sunscreen they should have is one with zinc dioxide. They should not use anything else. And zinc oxide is an amazing molecule that really regulates the skin. We have lots of zinc in our bodies, so it's not toxic. Don't have to worry about it. But it helps to regulate with their breakouts. As you know, if you probably, mind you, too young to remember this, but in the olden days, moms used to put zinc oxide in the bottoms of babies for nappy rash. And it's exactly it. It's a great stabilizer. But the one thing that I must say with sunscreens, like we only have an SPF 10, and that is because it's actually quite complicated to have one with a higher SPF level. And we just don't have the capacity to buy the ingredients to do all the regulatory process, because it's just too much. So I do just the SPF 10. But I always advise people to do 2 things. One is you wear a hat. You need to wear a hat. And especially men that are now shaving their heads, there's a lot of skin that's exposed, and on your shoulders as well. So make sure you've got a hat. Whether you use an SPF 10 or SPF 100, you need to have a good amount of sunscreen on your face, and you need to apply it every 1 to 2 hours at least. After 2 hours, it's gone. So that is inconvenient if you're a female, and if you put your foundation and now you have to pull your makeup again, it doesn't happen. So walk on the shady side of the buildings. If the sun is shining wherever you are, turn your back so that you're getting the sun on the back, not on your face. If you are gardening, make sure that you have some long sleeves. I'm Latin. My skin is darker than yours. In New Zealand, when I garden, I use long sleeves because I go red. I never go red in Portugal, but the sun in New Zealand, Australia, because of the thinner ozone layer, is cruel.
Yeah, we don't have that
awful.
problem
And
in
no
England.
amount of no, but I understand why you recommend that you need some vitamin C.
Vitamin D.
So vitamin D, and you're absolutely right. But after an hour, you've lost it. And the only one that you don't lose is when people use blockout. You know, the cricket players, then they put all that, that's the different story. But all sunscreens will go. And the other thing is quite interesting. I found this out just by accident recently. So when they do the grading of whether it is SPF 20, 30, whatever, it's based on the thickness as well. And I can tell you, no one is applying as thick layer as they should.
Interesting.
So yeah, but so you see in my wall here, I have lots of hats, and I mean it's summer, winter, summer, and I wear lots of hats because I do lots of things. But I really think a hat is important, and fair people just need to be careful, especially in the middle of the day. You at the end of the day, after 4:00, you probably are okay, or before 10. It's that 10 to 4.
I tend to wear a hat if I'm playing tennis, and it's really hot. It's really hot, sunny day, but we don't get many of those anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I wore
Yes.
sunscreen was 2019 when I was on holiday.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to be on the beach and if you're going to be sweating, no, it makes sense. But if you're moving, like when you're playing a game, it's slightly different. But it's the fact that you're sort of like,
And I don't tend to
yes.
burn anyway. I tend to just go brown.
But you're lucky. See, because you're lucky. Yeah, because you're very fair.
I think the lighting is making me look a lot fairer than I probably really am. So my
But your
dad's quite
eyes are
dark.
blue.
Yeah, my eyes are blue. Yeah.
So you be careful because the UV can also damage your retina. So don't, And the other thing is, just one tip. Now I'm going to show you with a white piece of paper. Just need to get a white piece of paper. So if you're wearing light clothing in the sun, lighter than what I'm wearing, just think of what the sun is doing to your face. It's reflecting from your shirts, white shirts, so you're getting exposed all the time.
Yeah, I learned a harsh lesson about reflection of the sun when I was living in Australia. I once spent an entire day in a swimming pool, and
From the water.
yeah,
Yes.
then I did. That's the worst sunburn I've ever had in my life, and that was horrendous.
Oh, yeah. Ugh. And you know that is the damage that we do that only shows 20 or 30 years later.
Yeah, that was longer than that ago. That was over 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, I think I got away with that one.
Yeah, no. So you don't want to do that repeatedly. Very harsh sunlight here.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Which is lovely. Look, don't take me wrong. We don't get enough of it in New Zealand. So don't take me wrong. I love it. But it's just, I'm conscious that I have to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my view on sun is, we're in spring here. I've just gone back to playing tennis. And the way that I tend to do it, I just gradually increase my time in the sun rather than,
Okay, yes, yeah.
And then normally by June time, I've got a nice tan and I'm normally I normally cope quite well with the sun.
Actually, I just want to raise something around having a good tan. There are a few products on the market. There are pills to increase the level of melanin on our skin. And some people have asked me if it's okay to use them. I would be very wary to use them as a substitute for sunscreen because these people were so excited that they now don't have to be concerned about garments soiling because they just eat. There is no guarantee that you're going to get uniform coverage. I mean, and how much do you need to consume before you have a layer of melanin that is evenly distributed and of the thickness you need? So I would not advise people to take melanin enhancing pills. And the other thing is, look, there are forms of malignancy, skin cancer, that are associated with melanin being overproduced. Why do we want to chance that? I just think it's nuts.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Wear a hat, sunscreen, stay away, leave the melanin enhancing pills in the shelf.
Yeah, they've never made sense to me. Yeah.
I'm amazed. But people say, but it's so convenient. It doesn't spoil my clothes. Well,
It's a quick fix, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a saying, convenience kills.
Yes. Yeah. 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 No, yeah, absolutely. Well, we can cure all our ailments in life by this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a price to pay, but so what?
Yeah. So what's next for you, Fernanda?
Really want to go on this campaign to educate more people rather than making more products. And I think as I get older, that is more important. I would love to also be able to write my book. And to do that, I need to have more time free. At the moment, my time is quite constrained, but I'd love to write my book. I'm surrounded by books. I love books. I love reading. Unfortunately, I still like to cut trees. I like paper books, but I do have a Kindle. But books are good. And I would love to have the ability to make noise, not noise in the sense of, not noise to attract attention, but if I could attract people's willingness to come on the journey to help young people to feel better about themselves. I was very insecure as a kid, and I know what it's, but it's, we'll see. We'll see I'm open to the universe, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And where can people find you online?
I'm on, my website. And
do you want to share the URL for your website?
Yes, I've provided. You mean say it to?
Yeah, if you could say it now, that'd be great.
So obviously www.azurlis.co.nz. So it's AZUR, like Azure, LIS.co.nz. And if you by mistake do .com, I have that domain as well, and it's pointed at co.nz, so it will get to me. And you'll see my picture on the website. I'm also on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. Although I'm not a great Facebooker, I'm not a great social media person. I'm on LinkedIn as well with my name. But if anyone Googles my name, they'll find me. And my email address, if anyone has any questions, and I mean it, any questions about you want to buy a product and you don't know what the ingredients mean, take a photo of the ingredients with your mobile and email it to me at fernanda@azurlis.co.nz and say, can you give me an idea of, are these ingredients acceptable, or is there something that I should avoid here, or are they just complicated names? Because each ingredient will have what is called an INCI name, which is a nomenclature name for the product. And sometimes they have chemical names that sound awful and they're not. But what you want to avoid are ingredients that end in ONS, ENS, and ONS, because those are the parabens, those are the silicones. You want to avoid anything like that. But it's difficult to explain to people. So I'm very happy if people email me from the UK. Not a fancy email, just say, I took this picture. Is there anything that I should watch out, bad or good? And then I'll reply.
Awesome. That's great.
Otherwise, send me a text message on my mobile.
Awesome. That's great. Fernanda, obrigado for coming on the show.
Não tem de quê. which means don't mention it. It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Lee, and I really admire what you're doing. In your network groups, if anyone has questions, just bounce them. Yeah, simple products that you can get from the supermarket will be okay.
Awesome.
And Candelilla wax instead of tallow.
Gotcha. Yeah.
For the
Awesome.
vegans.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's all from Fernanda and me for this week. But don't forget to join me, same time, same place, next week on the Radical Health Rebel podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to give the show a rating and a review, and I'll see you next time.